After Sunrise on KGET Plus is sponsored by Donna K's Cafe.
Oh, wait, why is
Barn
shot? He's doing some.
He messed it up.
He messed it up.
Was that planned?
I thought the light reveal was going to happen.
When they walked in?
Yeah, from this shot.
Oh, miscommunication.
God, miscommunication.
All right.
Our first time on After
Let's try it
Sunrise.
again. So let's take camera
Okay.
two.
All right.
Okay. Joining you.
Okay.
And then lights off.
Here, should I announce him? Okay,
Yeah, you
ready?
can be the
Yeah,
announcer.
let's have the lights
All right,
off.
here we go. Kev.
All right. Now joining us on After Sunrise, Vincent DeMonte and Jacob Clark.
Woo!
They finally made it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome
Our big
to After
debut.
Sunrise, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys.
First time? First timers?
Yeah, first timers.
on this National
Long-time
Donut
viewers,
Day.
first time on the show. Yeah,
On this National
Totally.
Donut Day. Well, they have been working hard for our election coverage across Kern County and with the California results. So thank you to both of you for waking up early, joining Sunrise this morning, and for also doing all this continuing coverage of election stuff. I know it's not easy, and both of you have been working very hard, so thank you.
Thanks, guys.
First
Yeah.
election season for both of these people right here.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
They deserve praise. They've done a great job.
Oh, thanks,
day.
guys.
Look at this little bundle of kids right here.
I mean, like waking up,
little bundle of
little
kids.
bundle
Yeah.
of kids. This is Gen Z on After Sunrise.
Yeah, it
It's,
is.
it's
It
not
really
the Gen
is.
Z. What does my dad call us? The
The
Gen
Gen
Zuo.
Zuo.
Now it's the Gen
Quad.
Gen
Quado?
Supple.
The
The
foursome.
The
The
Gen
Gen Set?
Supple?
The Gen Supple.
Gen Supple.
Quadruple?
Quadruple.
Gen.
The
Doesn't
Gen
Druple
Druple.
involve? I don't know.
All right, well, we're having some fun this morning, but we're going to turn it over now to start talking about Proposition 50, which has been a big talking point in California for the past few months. Now it is officially passed here in the state, but it did not get the votes here in California. Vincent.
Yeah. Well, you know, guys, I'm sure. Well, all right. I mean, we're taking a look at these numbers here. We got 64%, 5.1 million votes yes, 2.9 million votes for no, 36%. You know, big chunk of those coming here from the Central Valley here in California. As you know, no big surprises there. I mean, the AP called it probably at
Yes.
8:01. I was looking at my
That's
phone and I'm
insane.
like, wow, okay, 1% reporting in, but I guess we're calling it all early. But
Crazy.
yeah,
It's funny how they can call it that fast.
no, I know it's nuts. But you know, I'm sure I share a similar sentiment to a lot of people here in the great state of California that we're ready to stop seeing the ads on TV. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of
Oh,
time,
yes.
a lot of energy, a lot of money put into one measure on the ballot. But you know, it was interesting to take a look to see how much Gavin Newsom was really pushing this, or you know, I don't know if I can say this yet, but to kick off his presidential campaign, which
Yeah.
I'm sure will be coming up any second here.
Yeah, he'll probably, I mean, we've been expecting that for a while, but as Christian Roma was saying this morning, it's very early to start thinking about the presidential election, but I would not be shocked if he jumps in following these results.
Yeah.
It is interesting to look at the map and see that our western exterior and up north is
I know,
all
right?
blue, and then it
Yeah.
just goes red as you get more east and
Yeah. Yeah.
into the center.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of Inyo County. We're looking at the IE here on the east side. You know, pretty small local townships there, but you know, very strong Republican votes there. But yeah.
Interesting to see
very
the split
interesting.
just
I
right
know,
there.
right?
Yeah,
Let's turn it over to Jacob now to talk about Delano and McFarland sales
Mr.
taxes.
McFarland?
You've been
Absolutely.
out and about.
I have
Mr.
been
McFarland.
spending some time in North County, that is for sure. So yeah, there were two main measures on the ballot alongside Prop 50 up in North County. There was Measure B and Measure C. Measure B was for Delano, and they were looking to maintain their 1% sales tax. And it passed by a pretty wide majority. I think if I remember correct, yep, 67% of the votes right there. We expected it to, oh my goodness, we expected it to pass, but that wide of a margin is actually pretty impressive.
That is a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, I think if they were looking to raise the tax, the numbers would probably be a little bit different. But since they're kind of maintaining their current level, I think it's pretty expected. But still, yeah, the margins are pretty impressive.
It's almost exactly if not like 1/3,
Yeah,
2/3.
two-thirds.
Yeah.
Two-thirds majority.
Exactly.
Isn't that almost exactly?
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mayor Morris up there told me that, those funds are critical for just local services there for the city, hiring, referees and high school workers for their
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation program, repaving streets. So I think city officials there were really hopeful this was going to pass. I think this is really good news.
What does the no mean? No, they
no-
don't want to keep it the way it is?
A
Are they gonna
no
lower it?
means essentially to not renew that 1%
Oh,
tax.
okay.
The voters are required to, I think, renew it every 10 years or so. So if the no vote was the way, actually their total sales tax would go down by 1%.
Interesting.
So they actually voted against lowering their own taxes, which I think is
Interesting.
interesting. And the other measure is Measure C up in McFarland, which is different because they're actually looking to raise their taxes by 1%. But you can see here, it's still passed, not by as wide of a margin, but still 59% to 41 is not too bad. And the mayor up there said, they need this.
A little over 1,000 votes.
A little over 1,000 votes total, which,
that's
McFarland's a small town,
Yeah.
so kind of
We're
makes
doing
sense.
math. It's about 800. but, we're not accountants.
Close enough. It's journalist math. And the mayor up there was like, oh, man, we need this money because they've had like empty community swimming pools up there for like 7 years.
I heard that in your story,
Yeah,
yes.
streets need to be repaved. Their police station is honestly about the size of this room that we're sitting in right now.
Wow.
So a lot of that
Nice.
money, I think, is going to go towards improving those kinds of things.
You're
So
telling me there's like one holding cell in that?
there's like one holding cell.
police,
There's
station?
like 2 police car parking spots. So I think this
Wow.
could be a pretty big development for the city of McFarland. I think if they allocate the money for that specific
How much was the
purpose.
increase again?
It was only 1%, but they're saying it's going to generate an extra $1 million in revenue every year.
Wow.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, that could
Well,
be a
interesting
big
to
change.
follow that and see how it's going to play out in the coming future.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jacob, on After Sunrise, we do like to have a little bit of fun and share some behind the scenes stories. So why don't you tell us what happened when you went out to film yesterday at a polling location?
It wasn't
Just going right
It wasn't my most successful shoot. The problem is all the poll stations are pretty much empty. I think 95% of people voted by mail in this election.
Okay.
So I went to the poll stations in McFarland, I went to the poll stations in Delano, and I ran into another obstacle, which is that you can't report within 100
This is what I was
feet
talking
of a
about.
poll station. So they brought out a tape measure and measured me and my photographer's distance from the polling station
And what was your distance?
door. It wasn't far enough, apparently.
Oh, man.
So we got evicted a few times, but we tried. It's not for a lack of trying. I think
Yeah.
that's the
You know what-
important part.
You know
right?
what? At least they were following the laws though, and
Yeah.
actually measuring
They were,
it and not
you know,
eyeballing
not just
it.
Taking election day very
That's the
seriously.
important part.
They
you
were
know.
going.
They could have just
were
used a
going hard for it.
rangefinder or
Yeah.
something like that. Oh, you're 100 feet away.
I would love to speak with some voters. If there's any voters out there watching, email me. Let me know what you think.
I think
But,
my mom's watching.
Hey,
My parents
email
are
me.
probably watching. My mom's
but-
probably watching.
But yeah,
My mom
overall,
watches every day.
it was all right.
Yeah, my parents watch a lot.
Quit the chuckles.
Okay.
This is serious. I'm
I don't
really
even know if my
serious right
parents
now.
are up yet.
There were also a lot of big Democratic wins across the country. I actually was watching Dancing with the Stars last night on my little janky website since California doesn't air it live, so I
Right.
have to watch it on an illegal streaming site. Or it is legal,
Right.
but it's playing.
Yeah, just air out
Right.
all
Oh,
your
right,
business.
okay.
Right
Yeah,
there. She was voting.
I've said this, I've said
she was
this-
You know,
vocal, right?
honesty is the best.
I've
the
said
best
this
policy.
1,000 times that I watch on this website. I don't think it's illegal, actually. It's thetvApp.to. I don't know, it's a website.
That doesn't sound
All
right.
right, great.
All right, but it's fine.
Okay, anyways, I'm watching. Thank you,
Yes,
Heather.
producer Heather says
Yeah.
you have to do what you
Yeah.
have to do.
Yes, thank you, because I have to live vote and I have to watch it live because I'm going to get spoilers immediately on every platform, whatever. So I'm watching ABC New York. That's where I stream it from. And they kept having news breaks, and it's interesting being on this side of news and knowing like how news breaks work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, delayed Dancing with the Stars, but whatever, that's okay. But I was hearing the live results and seeing them live at the different Democratic and Republican candidates' parties / concession speech gatherings. So it was interesting. They talked a lot about Cuomo being beat out by Mamdani. They were out there. There were high spirits at one site, not so high at the other. They talked a lot about how Virginia, first ever female governor.
Yep.
A lot of interesting stuff happening
Yeah.
across the country this election day.
Yeah. This was a jam-packed election. A lot more things than I think most people anticipated.
Exactly.
I mean, here in the Virginia race, you got, Abigail Spanberg, 57.5% from Virginia. That's a pretty large margin against the lieutenant governor. Virginia's almost a borderline swing state. It's consistently gone blue, but in 2024, it was kind of one of those early warning signs that Kamala Harris was looking like she wasn't going to be doing so hot in that election, just because of how long it took. But down the ticket here in Virginia, it was the governor, lieutenant governor. They elected their first Muslim woman to be the lieutenant governor, elected a Democrat to the attorney general's office for the state. So a sweep with Democrats from Virginia here. And, another big thing up in New Jersey, we got Mickey Sherrill coming in at 56.2%.
Oh, yes, that was another one that I was getting news
Yeah.
breaks for.
This was interesting too, because Chitterelli was looking like he was doing pretty good for
He
a
was.
while, for a lot of the election season.
He was getting close margins there, but,
I saw a lot of their ads on in the past few weeks on my Dancing with the Stars streaming
gonna
site.
say.
Well, because it's a
That's your political exposure. I know.
Well, it's a New York news station, so it's their commercials.
Yeah, but poor Cantarelli, he's tried 3 times to be governor and he still has not
No.
won that race yet. But
This is the big news, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zoran's win is pretty.
I'm interested to see how
Yeah.
Sliwa staying in the race impacted.
I saw something about that actually, and if Sliwa was not in the race, it actually would have been pretty close.
Yeah, I saw some
Yeah.
polls that said Cuomo might have had an edge.
yeah, most of those
Yeah.
people were looking for.
I still don't think
Also
enough to
alternative.
maybe win,
But it would have been
I
pretty
mean,
close.
it would have
That would have
a
been
lot
interesting.
Yeah, it would have really tightened those
Yeah.
margins.
I'm interested to see how the Republicans use that moving forward too. The fact that the Democrats have elected a socialist mayor to the nation's largest city, are they going to weaponize that for this next
Yeah.
election?
Oh,
they
definitely.
might. They might.
I mean,
We'll
Trump
see.
already, didn't he post on Truth Social saying that he was going, what was the word he used? I just read it.
He uses
But
a lot of
He's
words.
He
upset
does
at
use a lot of
He
words.
is upset at New York.
Yep.
For that
Yeah.
decision. So we'll talk more about these politics and more about the election results coming up after the break. Stick with us on After Sunrise.
Welcome back, everybody, to After Sunrise. We have multiplied.
Yes.
It's now
We have.
4 people here
What's
at the
that one?
wall.
Osmosis? Is that the when the cells divide and
Yeah.
spread?
We have divided.
Basically us.
We have replicated ourselves.
It feels like we're back in
Osmosis.
college. We're touching on math. We're touching on science. It's like you got your own little
I would
broadcasting
like
team.
to apologize that I messed up the McFarland vote count. It was not a little over 1,000. I really sat there and did the math in my head, and I'm good at math.
I believed you too. I was like, "Yep,
Yeah.
that's it."
like, yeah.
Yep.
And then these two
Great
are over
journalist
here.
from us.
These two are over here cutting up, saying, "Hey, that's not it."
No.
So then I re-looked at it.
that
I don't
ain't
even know how I almost hit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
There we go.
All right, let's do some math. Let's do some
Leave
math
it
here.
to Adam to just sit here and
468
call me
plus
out.
330 is.
It's 798.
There we
Right?
go.
So we didn't even hit 800. So we were all
We're
wrong.
just
We
aggressive
rounded
rounders
up.
here on After
Oh,
Sunrise.
yeah.
That's all.
We like
Okay.
rounding here.
Okay.
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 So these are our 2
Well,
political experts.
Yeah.
Let's
Jacob,
continue.
Vinny.
Actually, yes, I have a question for the 2 political experts because we've been talking a lot about the Democratic wins here in California and also the Democratic wins across the country. But what does this kind of mean for Republicans? I mean, we still have a Republican president. We still have a large majority of Republicans in
Yeah, exactly.
Government.
Yes.
Congress.
Yeah.
It's After Sunrise. We're slowing down.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Yeah, yeah.
but I would like to know, I would kind of want to talk about what does this mean for the Republicans? I know Kathy kind of touched on it
Yeah.
this morning, but
I think after doing so well in the 2024 election, a lot of Republicans just kind of had this sort of invincible feeling, like they can kind of do whatever they want, and they've kind of certainly acted that way in many ways. I think this election is kind of a wake-up call that, the voters do actually have a say, and they are going to vote on the things you're enacting. So I don't think this bodes very well for them for the midterms.
Yeah.
Again, I think redistricting could play a big role in that. I think Republicans could still come out on top, considering they're netting more seats from this whole redistricting war that we're in. But yeah, if I was a Republican strategist, I would really think twice about what these election results kind of mean about the policies that the Trump administration is enacting across the nation.
Yeah, across the country, number one issue was the economy. And when you ran on, wanting to fix the economy and that on day one, you would be seeing relief at the gas pump, relief at the grocery store, relief when it comes to the cost of housing. When you don't necessarily deliver as big of a promise as you set yourself in those first 100 days, people are going to be mad and people are going to retaliate a little bit. And, this was kind of a first little test that, there is a little bit of a referendum here that people were like, ooh, okay, I don't know how much I'm, digging the Republican plan here, and that's why you saw so many sweeping Democratic measures and candidates winning across the board here. But what I'm looking towards once we're heading into 26 is how are these like redistricting battles going to affect, if anything? Will the will of the voters outweigh the adage of more Republican seats in the county here? And there's been some people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was on The View yesterday, calling out Speaker Johnson, other members of leadership in the Republican Party, saying that, hey, if you want to get rid of some programs like cutting the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, then you got to come in with another plan. So a lot of different stuff to consider there. The Republicans are in an interesting position. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. I can already tell Trump's going to be make the 2026 election a little bit about himself and his ability to do things, and frame it as, hey, if you guys don't put Republicans in Congress, we're not going to be able to do all the great things that we've been saying we've been wanting to do. So,
yeah, I think too, this is an even bigger sign for the Democrats. I think this is a wake-up call that if you actually run on a platform of being for something instead of running on a platform of just being against whatever Trump is doing, people actually turn out and vote for it. Look at Mamdani. He had a real economic plan that he actually put into place that really looped in all of the voters in New York City, and he got over 50% just minutes after polls closed. So I think that's a really good takeaway for Democrats. If you just have a real running platform that's just not the opposite of whatever Trump is doing, you can actually win, and by wide margins too.
I think it's also going to be interesting to see. I heard them talking again during my New York cut-ins last night.
Dance with the stars.
But I mean, they made good
she's
points.
really read up on issues now.
They made good points. I mean, they were talking. It's the biggest news market in the country, but you should watch more. But they made good points talking about how Mamdani ran on a lot of big ideas and made a lot of promises that New Yorkers were looking for.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to see how well he can enact that change and how much change he can actually make as mayor. Because it's not governor, he's not president, whatever. So everyone's very interested to see if he's going to follow through on this, because if he doesn't, it could fall back pretty heavily on the people that voted for him, and then the people coming from the other side saying, look, you voted for this guy who said all these things, he's not following through. Yeah. Or if he takes too long to follow through. I mean, there's a big spotlight on him now because of these big promises. But yes, I agree with a lot of people vote because of the economy. I've heard that my entire life. Say, I vote for whoever has the best economic policy.
Famous saying from the 90s, it's the economy, stupid. Yeah. That's always rule one.
I think there's an interesting parallel, too, between Mamdani and Trump, actually, because they both run on making big promises. And the people that lost to them just said, I'm going to do the opposite of that guy. And so, I mean, Kamala Harris, that's what he did to Trump. Andrew Cuomo, that's what he did to Mamdani. And both of them lost because they only just decided to say, I'm going to do the opposite of the other guy.
Instead of making promises.
Instead of, making promises. Doesn't
saying
matter.
how they're going to fix New York, how they're going to help New York.
Yeah, exactly.
I will give Mamdani credit. I felt like you did run a quality campaign, to be honest.
You did.
Just looking at his social media stuff.
No, totally.
The Democrats, to be blunt, after 2024, we're like a chicken with its head cut off, running around aimlessly without any direction. Last night we're sewing the head back on a little bit, but you got two different ways they can go. You can go with status quo, which you saw a little bit in like Virginia. You're seeing a little bit in New Jersey. Or are we going to be going with some new fresh faces like we saw in New York City? And, this is going to be a period of political adaptation for the Democrats. They got to change their party plan. They got to change the leadership. They got to change what's going on inside if they want to win an election in 26 and 28. Hopefully to have a Democratic president in 28. And if they want to do that, then they got to look themselves in the mirror and realize that, hey, we got a choice to make. Are people really wanting to see more candidates that represent a community that are more unique, not necessarily your status quo Democrat? Or are people just tired with what Republicans are doing and they'll just put someone who's not a Republican into power here? But yeah, that's the age-old question.
It'll be interesting to see how these play out over the next few years. All right, we'll be right back with our last leg of After Sunrise coming up after the break. Welcome back to After Sunrise, everybody, with what my dad calls the Grand Salami Gen Party.
Mr. Holcomb.
All right, thanks, Mr. Holcomb.
We gotta have the grand salami on it all the time.
We should have
now.
salami next
Is
week.
that supposed to be like a joke of Grand Slam?
Maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
Or-
Maybe because there are 4 people here.
I wish we had a phone where we can like take calls and
I
stuff.
wish.
That would
That would be
We
amazing.
could hear from him directly, right?
All right, caller number 2, tell
Yeah.
us what you calling in for today.
KGT Plus has a delay though, like a pretty lengthy
Yeah.
delay.
Oh,
So.
lengthy delay. Okay.
Well, let's turn it over. We have about 5 more minutes left here on After Sunrise this morning. I do want to talk about how Kern County is a red area, and so I want to talk about how this redistricting.
It is.
It is. I want to talk about how this redistricting vote, because Kern County did not vote in favor of it. Is this what we expected going into the election?
Yeah. For the most part, that was exactly what we were expecting. It was just kind of a story of what was that margin going to look like? How close was it going to be? Was it going to be, a real big sweep for no? I'd say this is like roughly where I was expecting, maybe a tad closer than I was thinking.
I was gonna say I don't know if we have the graphic, if we can pull it up or not.
Yeah.
But it was I would say a little bit closer than I thought. I thought Kern County would be more against Prop 50, but I mean,
Okay,
really,
yeah,
there we
here
go. I
it
mean,
is.
57 to 43. I mean, that margin could be bigger, but I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at that, 43% of Kern County voters wanted this to pass, which is
Yeah.
no small chunk,
Definitely.
So I think
Yep.
that definitely says something about kind of the overall attitude of just general policies in the country right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
that are affecting Kern.
Yeah, a lot of people in in California, a lot of people I spoke to yesterday at the polls, a lot of people here in Bakersfield were telling me that they voted no on the measure. They just felt like it was a really big power grab for the Democrats in the legislature and Governor Newsom to take away this independent commission. A lot of people really enjoy that because it keeps things fair, especially with Republicans here, having them have a little bit more of a say. But what's always really interesting, and I think a lot of people forget, is while California is we're the most populated state here in the U.S., we have the most registered Republicans in the U.S. too. We have a huge population of Republicans here, and huge chunk here in Kern County. City of Bakersfield, pretty purple, kind of a mixed bag of Democrats, Independents, Republicans, and on the outskirts of throughout Kern County, leaning a little bit more towards the red side. But of course, you got also mixed bags as any other location. But Kern County always solidly pretty red when it comes to presidential elections, congressional elections, things like that.
I
But
think I'm very interested to see how policies, especially in Kern County moving forward, I feel like we talk about a lot of stories of rallies and things like that of Kern County politicians and just people here like voting no for Prop 50.
Yep.
I'm interested to see how they respond moving forward now that Proposition 50 did pass. What are Republicans in California and in Kern County going to do to kind of counterbalance that? Or what's the next move? Especially when our governor could possibly be going for president. How is this going to turn the state? How is this, I think there's a lot that could play out, a lot of moving parts for both parties that I'm interested to see where it goes.
Well, the new poll for the governor shows that Republicans leading by a slim margin. That Republican
the last
guy.
Emerson poll had Steve Hilton, who is a British guy, Fox News correspondent. He is kind of the new leader here in that poll. I don't know if we've had a recent one recently.
I was going to say, I'd be interested to see how that poll's changed.
Yeah,
'Cause I think this
exactly.
election really does
Yep.
change all those numbers
Yeah,
completely.
and we had Alex Padilla, our senator, decide he's not going to run, which would have really shaken some things up. So there's only a handful of people left who really can enter the race, and people be a little bit more like, hey, you know what? They might be a good choice. But we will see.
So do
we
you
will
think
see.
we're pretty set with the candidates we have now?
I think so.
I think maybe, there's talk about candidates like Tom Steyer joining the race, maybe
yeah.
Rick Caruso, question
Yeah.
marks. I think today we are, but tomorrow could be an entirely different question.
Do you think it's too late though, or
Nope.
no?
Yeah, they
I
got
don't know.
until late March to announce that they're running for candidacy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the primaries happen in
But
June.
like,
I
do you think
believe.
it's too late for them to get their word in? Because I know
Yeah.
Kamala Harris has been very outspoken these days about how she feels like she did not have enough time, and if she did have enough time, that she would have won. That's what
Yeah.
she's been saying on a lot of podcasts and a lot of interviews.
I think if you have enough money to air enough ads, like some of these people who are talking about joining the race are,
Yeah.
I think time isn't as much of an issue for
Yeah.
you.
Interesting. Yeah, I think as long as they announce their candidacy by January, they should have more than enough time to put things together and run a good campaign. But it's anyone's race. We'll we'll keep you posted on that.
I know,
We'll-
a lot
we'll
to
see
be
what's coming
decided
up.
in 2026, right?
Yep.
That's right.
Big
It'll
year.
be here before
the
you
big
know it.
2-6.
Right around the corner. Seriously.
Yeah.
There will be a lot coming up on the political front, not only here in Kern County, but in California and across the country. But I mean, we don't have another presidential election for almost exactly 3 years now.
Actually, yeah.
Exactly 3
Yes,
years.
yes.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Let me
From
check
today.
here, see when election day in
And that will
2028 is.
also be here before you know it, too.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
wild.
Blink and it'll be over.
Time flies. We're just a bunch of old farts, guys.
I know,
this
we're
point.
getting older.
Thanks
Feeling that way.
November
Yeah.
7th.
Yeah,
Phones
Election
don't
Day
work like they
2028.
used to.
Well, thanks for waking up with these old farts. Just kidding. Hope you
The
all have
grand
a.
salami.
I'm the youngest one here.
Yeah, exactly.
I am? No,
He
no,
is.
no,
I am.
You're the youngest.
Okay, bro.
You're the oldest.
Yeah. I know. I
Thanks
feel
for waking
old.
up with us on this.
I feel old,
Wednesday
Kern
morning.
County.
We'll see you for more KGET news coming up later today. Bye, everyone.